Hi everybody, Stephen Levine from NASCAR Illustrated here with two members of the most iconic family in circus history, the Wallenda family, Leanna and Nik Wallenda, going to be walking at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Bank of America 500. What's going to be a little bit different this year, Nik, than what you did last year?
Well, it's going to be actually quite a bit different. It's going to be a lot higher. It's going to be about 80 feet higher, 60 to 80 feet higher, and I'm not going to be the only one on that wire. Actually, my sister's going to be on the wire with me. She'll start at one end, I'll start at the other. We'll meet in the middle. And you got to show up to see it live of how we're going to cross each other, and then we'll finish on opposite ends.
Now, is this similar to a routine that you guys have performed in the past? I understand you got stuck a few years ago, and Nik had to come up in a crane to help you down. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, it went something like that. Not quite stuck, but I was up on the wire a little longer than I had planned on being.
I know you guys train, and this is what you do for a living, and you probably have ways of dealing with your nerves and your fears, but when something like that happens, a variable like that happens, how do you maintain your composure?
Well, you just go back to your training. I always try to do at least 3 times of what I would do on the wire. So I was training, doing laps back and forth on a low wire, building up my strength, and I just have to tell myself it's mind over matter. I'm fine. I've trained for this. I got this.
When we're walking a wire, when I walked the Grand Canyon, for instance, when I stepped on the edge of the Grand Canyon before the wire was up, it was nerve-wracking. My heart would start beating fast. It was uncomfortable. But when I step on that wire, there's something like it's at home to me.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. So the challenge is getting to the wire. Once you're on the wire, you really feel at home. And then getting off the wires is almost the bigger challenge than walking across at times. Yeah. I actually planned on going to med school. I was going to put down my wire walking hat, my balancing pole, and move on. When I was 18, my uncle called up and he said, hey, we've been invited to go back to Detroit, Michigan and recreate the 7-person pyramid for the first time since it fell in 1962. And I remember thinking through it, talking with my parents and saying, I'd love this to be my final goodbye. Hats off, I did it. We proved that the Wallendas are still around. We're not going to give up ever. And I'm going to move on. And I'm going to go become a pediatrician with a different life. But we went to Detroit and I performed and I saw the attention of the world. I mean, there was cameras from everywhere there. Documentaries from Australia, England, Germany, it didn't matter. They were there. And I saw that and said, if there's this much interest, I don't know that that it's probably that we need to change our ways. We don't need to stop doing what we're doing. We need to reinvent the wheel and do things differently. And that's what I set out to do. And since then, I broke 7 world records and I've done things like Niagara Falls, the Grand Canyon that no one in the world ever has. And it really did change the path of our career.
My brother was always a little bit more natural than me growing up, and I was kind of like, we get frustrated, and I did. I wanted to be a marine biologist, actually. But then I think when I was about 14, 15, the bug bit me, and I just started performing, and I never wanted to stop.
When you watch these guys going 200 miles an hour around the track, do you have a similar reaction, like how can they do that, or is your reaction more like, hey, can I do that?
It's probably more, hey, can I do that? I do respect them deeply, though, for what they do. I understand the amount of focus it takes to do something along those lines. Mine is completely different, yet there's a lot of parallels to what we do. Staying extremely in that zone for 45 minutes to an hour, some of the walks that I do. These guys are in cars 2.5, 3 hours. That is amazing to me. And I've thought, I wonder if I can hold my composure for 3 hours. So I enjoy a challenge, so I'd love to try it sometime.